Some of the major challenges I faced was the finance, support, and stability, but it was really overcoming hurdles prior from my last business ventures. When you put all your all into something that you love and you value, that you know that's going to change the world, and for it to just stop, crumble, and it's almost like you're drowning with something that you did not, that you tried hard to prevent, but it was no fault of your own. It's like, how do you bounce back from that? My initial goals when I first started my business was I wanted to leave a legacy. I didn't want to have leftovers from my parents. I didn't want to have to depend on what they had of their dreams to leave for me. I wanted to create my own. That was the goal. To make sure that whatever I touched was a success, something that if I die, it will leave for generations to come, to be a change for the world.
My name is C.W. Smith Sr., happen to be the father of Charles W. Smith Jr. and the pastor of City Dale of Praise in El Paso, Texas. I've always taught my children to follow their dreams, but I also taught them from a spiritual base that any time God is removed from what they're trying to achieve, they're destined to fail.
When I had GON events, that was my first commercial space. And it was a pivotal point where I was finally, I felt like I was doing something in life.
Never will forget one Sunday morning he came to church. I could tell his spirit was down. Called him into my office. He broke down like a little baby. It was a business deal that didn't go through real quite the way he wanted to go through.
This particular moment of when I think I was like my second event in, everything was going good. I mean, I had landlords and, don't get me wrong, I did go into a sublease. At the time, I didn't see it as a big deal. I just saw opportunity, but they had a hidden agenda. To them, they saw me as bait. And I didn't see it until when they decided to put one of those loading docks right in front of my space. And I'm looking like, why would you do that? They said, because we can. At that time, I said, you know what? I'm done with this. But see, after that moment, I didn't want to start nothing else.
I reminded him that anytime you have a challenge, before you break down, break through, you find out a lot of reasons that a lot of people don't do anything because they're too afraid as if they're going to become a failure. As leaders, our job is to build people's faith through confidence and allow them to experience what they have been housing in them all this time that has been lying dormant, and bring it alive. You're going to have a relationship with God in order to hear God's voice. The Bible says that we are his sheep and we know his voice, and a stranger we won't follow, right? And so I believe that he yielded God's voice.
What inspired me to start Gentleman Boutique, it's ironic because I didn't want to start Gentleman Boutique. I just found myself drawing. I always draw. And God was like, you know what? I want you to open up a store. The Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. So I'm doing that as we speak. And when it came up to light, I said, you know what? I'm going to be obedient.
Charles Jr. is a leader in his own reserve right. I've molded him to become more charismatic, if you will, to become more sensitive, to become more involved, and be very innovative within the ministry.
I'm not saying, son, this is what needs to be done, but putting me in position because he believed I had what it took.
Values I instilled in Charles is that there's nothing that he cannot do, but whatever he does, do it well.
I think that's one of the reasons why people are loving what we do here, is because we take our time. We're not in a rush. We're making sure that you are convinced, because it changes the outcome. You put a nice suit on and you comboed it right, you come into any area or any facet in life and you automatically draw power. And for me to be able to be that transformation for every man, every boy that walks into this store is bigger than what I have, because I am changing legacies. I'm changing generations. And that's what I love. And I think that's probably why I've been well-rounded in the community, talked about, receiving awards. One of the biggest things that I was recognized for was by Veronica Escobar, a congresswoman, to receive the Citizenship Award and the Fashion of the Year Award. It means a lot. I feel like all these years, hustling and grinding and building, sometimes you get to the point where you feel overlooked. You feel as if nobody's watching, nobody's paying attention. The heartbeat breaks, the tears, the pain, whatever the case was, it molded me for this special occasion to show that, you know what, at one point in time I was overlooked, but now I'm in a position where I finally gave people something to look at.